Welcome to the Tom Matt Show. You are walking through the front door of the retirement zone. And now, your host, Tom Matt.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for joining us. It's going to be a fun one. I guarantee it. As they always are. Last week, Lucas Ring, student from MSU, senior, graduating. Great, guys, unbelievable. Stress, human performance, and psychology, and journey into higher ed as well. You know, talked a little bit about his journey into higher ed because the guy travels all over the place. He's lived everywhere with his parents, and he's a captain of the rugby club at Michigan State University. And I know him from the gym. He's a good friend of mine at the gym. Like most of my student friends are all gym rat friends. So check that one out. Lucas Ring, if you're thinking about, I don't know, any of that kind of stuff, if you're getting ready to go to college, if you're into rugby, if you're into any of the stress, human performance, and psychology, then that's a great episode because it had a lot of good info. Today, get ready. I got a newbie, but she's awesome, and we're going to have a good conversation here because this is a really hot button topic right now. I didn't really realize that narcissism has become this like kind of thing. Danielle Radin is going to be our guest today. Danielle Radin is an Emmy Award-winning journalist. Let me do her bio real quick here. 9-time author, good for you, girl. Certified domestic violence counselor. That's important to know. She's founder of the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Center, which offers low-cost counseling, thank God, educational materials and awareness online to help people. And let me tell you, her online presence all over the place is amazing. Her videos are great. I've looked at a lot of them. She's coached thousands of people all over the world to healthier, happier lives. Because if you're involved with a narcissist and you think the relationship is kind of like off, which we all go through off relationships. I mean, but it's like there's certain things that you need to be aware of. And that's what we're going to talk about today because you need to be aware. Building aware. What do we do here, everybody? Entertain and educate. Educate and entertain. All right. We're going to have everything will be on her bio and all that and on the recap, all that. Without much further ado, I want to welcome to the program my friend, Danielle Radin. Hey, how are you there, Stanford?
Hi. I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited for this.
You're welcome. Before we do This Is Your Life, I've got to ask you something.
Yeah.
3-year graduate at Berkeley?
Yep. Graduated in 3 years. I just wanted to be in the adult world back then, and now I wonder why that is. 'Cause nothing but bills once you get out there.
Because I saw that, and just as I said, the journey into higher ed, I'm very into the higher ed stuff, and it's like, whoa. So, and then you finish your master's at, that paltry school, Stanford. I mean, come on. Can you go to 2 worse schools, Berkeley and Stanford? All right, enough of that. All right. That was awesome. I saw that in your bio. Let's do This Is Your Life. Tell everybody about you. You've got so many fans all over the place, and now they get to see the real you for an hour. So tell them all about you, your family, whatever you'd like people to know about you as a person, and then we'll deep dive this bad boy. Go right ahead, Danielle.
Yeah, so I live in Los Angeles, grew up in Hermosa Beach, California, and have lived all over California. Started my background after school as a journalist, and I reported from Redding, Eureka, San Diego, LA, all of it, all over the place. And I had a lot of experience through that, interviewing narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths. For example, jailhouse interviews with robbers and serial killers, interviews with politicians, high-powered lawyers.
Okay, hold on a second there. So you go from the sociopath, psychopath, inmates to politicians. Okay, continue on, please. I just had to make that point. I'm sorry to interrupt you. That was hilarious.
And whoever else was, not diagnosed, but who I interviewed at that point. And so when you're a news reporter coming in with a TV camera to interview a psychopath, sociopath, narcissist, there's a power struggle there already.
Really?
Because, I mean, they're obsessed with power and control. And so they're immediately trying to figure out, how do I navigate this interview so that I look the best? How do I cover up the things I don't want to talk about? How do I dart away from that? And there was always a power struggle there. And so I had experience at least communicating with them. And
did you get better at it?
Yes.
Did you learn the techniques of picking through their twisted minds?
I mean, once you find out that everything they're telling you is probably a lie, that helps.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And, there's certain techniques that we can get into later of how to get answers out of them when they don't want to give you answers, which I kind of fine-tuned as my career went on. So then around the pandemic time, I was covering the Gabby Petito trial pretty in depth on social media. And that was, a young girl who went missing and ended up being killed by her boyfriend. And through that reporting process, I did a video of how to win any argument with a narcissist based on that trial that I was covering. And that just blew up. And I got tons of requests for coaching and counseling. And that's when I first started to notice that this was a niche area in mental health that, frankly, a lot of really, really good therapists just aren't trained in, because it's a very tailored kind of trauma.
Right.
It's talking to trauma victims, abuse victims. There's elements of PTSD and, there's certain cycles that happen in these toxic relationships. And so this was right around New Year's or so. And I just kind of had I kept saying, no, I'm a reporter. I don't do that. And then New Year's resolution was kind of like, well, just say yes to everything kind of thing. And that's how the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Center started. And it offers, like you said, low-cost counseling. And I think what differentiates us is that we get you on the calendar right away. Because something that I think is a struggle for people trying to get mental health help is you're not going to get to a new therapist or counselor for 6 weeks or so. And the stuff that's happening in narcissistic relationships is happening now. They need help now. It's like, I need an escape plan. I need a restraining order. What's going on here? There's co-parenting stuff. And so we get you on the calendar immediately. It's a lower cost than what you would pay for a typical therapist. And on top of that, there's the online education that we're providing, because this kind of abuse is very isolating, and it is something that makes the person feel like they're going crazy. And the more terms you know about breadcrumbing, dog whistling, stonewalling, and everything that they're doing, the more empowered you feel to ultimately get out of there.
We will talk about that. Give me a minute of your family, and then we'll go to break.
My family all lives in Los Angeles, and we see each other at least weekly.
Good.
My sister lives 10 minutes from me, and we're best friends. And every year we take a sister trip together somewhere. So we've been to Panama and Spain and the Dominican Republic.
What's your sister's name?
Her name's Jenna.
Jenna. Okay. Just because family love hearing their names on radio and podcasts. Just there you go, Jenna. You're on. You're a star.
Shout out to Jenna. And
shout out to Jenna.
She's getting married to Ronnie this year.
Oh, congratulations,
so
Jenna and
Ronnie. I'm getting a little brother for the first time. So that's very exciting.
Sweet. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, my parents were best friends. I see them all the time.
That's great. That's good. That's all it's just to show the balance of your life, and people, they just want to get to know who you are. And listen, everybody, we're going to go to break here, and I'm going to carry this through, Danielle. Today, we're calling this one, Danielle Radin's with me. Let me reset things. Danielle Radin's with us, Navigating Narcissists, talking about her book, okay? Talking about all her stuff, her counseling center, all of this stuff. The narcissistic abuse is rampant, and we need to have people at least become educated. If anything, go watch Danielle's videos, but for sure her book is well done. I read it. It's great. We come back, we're going to give you all kinds of tips, all kinds of IDs, all kinds of stuff for you to kind of pick through. You're listening to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you to Sandy bringing us back. Appreciate that. Love her so much. She's so awesome. This segment is sponsored by Craig Stiles, Ameriprise Financial. He's our man. He has all of our retirement zone savings. Thank God. If I had it, we wouldn't have any retirement zone savings. So go to Ameriprise Financial, Craig Stiles. He's the man. Here's what you want to know. He'll help you plan for the life you want today and well in the future, like he's doing with Sandy and I. I mean, and it's working out great. And Billy Coast, got a couple messages from him. Billy, you're going to like this episode. He listens to all my stuff. One of my best friends, and he's a great fan of the show. The Right Financial Advisor, and he's with Craig as well. Life can be brilliant. Call Craig, 1-800-528-1355. Local numbers 517-483-4893 or craig.stiles@ampf.com. Offices are located 2651 Coolidge Road, Suite 103, East Lansing, Michigan 48823. Don't let the Mid-Michigan address mess you up because Ameriprise is a huge company and they're national. And Craig will vet anybody for you at no charge. So you can just reach out to him or go to our website, TomMattShow.com, go to Financial Fitness. Craig's got about 26 episodes. That's how long he's been doing this with us. He's got like 26 different topics on there, 26 hours of finance stuff. Okay, it's all free. Go get it. WGHN 92.1 carried us for a long time. WGIM 1240 AM in Lansing is the flagship of the Michigan Talk Network, where we're broadcast all over the Midwest. WJRW 1340 Grand Rapids, WKLQ 1490 Muskegon, Whitehall. Up north, Mackinac City, WYPV FM 94.5. There's a bunch more stations in the Michigan Talk Network. And if I'm not mentioning your call letters, you guys, send us a note and I'll add you to the read, okay? Because I want to promote you, okay? And lastly, and not leastly, the big flamethrower at Michigan State University, WKAR AM 87. Love being on PBS. East Lansing, Michigan, in simulcast 102.3 FM. Sundays at 5. Thanks again to Craig Stiles for creating Decidary Analytics, where we are making light of weighted decisions. And lastly, Steve and Ivy Gruber, the owners of the Michigan Talk Network. Thank you for having faith in us. Long time ago when I didn't know diddly crap about diddly crap. And so onward we go. Danielle Radin's our guest today, everybody. Do you know who Danielle Radin is? You need to know who she is, and you're going to find out real quick because we just finished our first segment, Navigating Narcissist. That's what we're calling today's episode. All right, so we got into, in the beginning, Danielle, of how in the heck you found yourself in this space, which that was one of my first questions for you after asking you how you finished Berkeley in 3 years. Let's start with the book. Okay, the first thing about the Navigating Narcissism, because I've talked about self-narcissism and then narcissistic behavior, I really didn't know that much about. But I do know a lot about self-care. And self-care is not to be confused with narcissistic NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. That's what we're talking about, everybody. And I'm going to let the expert talk about it. So let's start right at the beginning, Danielle. You already said how you got into this with interviewing all these I'm going to say they're interesting, even though they're psychopaths and sociopaths and narcissists. Still interesting people, I would think. I mean, you're a journalist. Start at the beginning. NPD, please define it. You know, there's that checklist. There's all that kind of stuff. And we can just riff right through the book. But tell everybody what the heck they're looking for.
Yeah, so narcissistic personality disorder is a disordered way of thinking that impacts the person's relationships, whether it be at work, personal, romantic, family relationships. It's got 9 criteria. The person has to have 5 symptoms out of 9 in order to be diagnosed. However, I will emphasize that even somebody with narcissistic tendencies who isn't necessarily full-blown NPD can still ruin your life. So don't get too hung up on the labels there. But what you're looking for is somebody with delusions of grandeur. You know, it's one thing to try to manifest success, and it's another to say, I'm going to be a famous actor, but you've never taken an acting lesson. I'm going to have a Lamborghini, but you've been unemployed for years, right? So it's a delusion of grandeur. They have a fantasy of the perfect beauty, of being the smartest person ever, of being the most successful. They idolize soulmates, the perfect love, which nobody can live up to, and that ultimately fails every time. And that comes with an overinflated ego. Another symptom is arrogance. They think that they're better than you. They think that they're holier than thou. They're very pompous, demeaning. They could be mean to the waiter. They could be mean to the customer support rep because they consider them beneath them. You're going to get a lack of empathy. So they might seemingly show sympathy at the beginning, but the more that you get to know them, the more that you realize that they really just do not care how their actions impact other people. They're the most selfish people in the world. You're going to get a gross sense of entitlement. So nothing is ever enough for them. You're never seeing any long-term gratitude or appreciation. If you give them $100, they're asking you, why didn't you give me $200? You just, no matter what you do, it's just never enough. So these are some of the main symptoms that you're going to see in somebody with this personality disorder that are more obvious. And then the more you get to know them and the deeper you get into it, it becomes darker and darker, and you start to get into toxic cycles with them that you can't get out of.
Who? Why in the heck would people want to hook up with these people or connect with them or get in a relationship? And I know the answer to this thing, but I'm just going to throw it out there so you can start illuminating to the listeners out there. They're not alone. How does this happen?
Yeah, so this happens because narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths are extremely great at branding themselves. They come in, they are charming, they're fun, they're interesting, they're attractive, they're seemingly successful, their social media is perfect, their hair, their makeup is perfect, right? So they come in and they seem like the ideal partner, and they present that way at first. And people find that very, very attractive. And they listen to you from the moment they meet you, and they know how to get victims quickly to be attached to them emotionally. And that's through something called love bombing. So they will love bomb you. They will give you compliments, praise, attention, and they use future fakes. So I promise to take you on this vacation. I think that we would be so happy if we were married. No one's ever understood me like this. We're going to be together forever. The things that everybody has always wanted to hear somebody that they're interested say out loud. So with a narcissist, they oftentimes have a lot of romantic partners. They're very good at targeting who this will work on and who it won't work on. And for somebody who's never encountered this, you're going to be targeted, and before you know it, you're trauma bonded to them.
Okay. That's a good jumping off point here. Let me reset this thing. I told you guys, you're going to want to listen to this whole. Danielle Radin is our guest today, Navigating Narcissists. This is such a deep topic. It's going to take probably multiple episodes to have her on. I'm looking forward to it because I love her stuff. Her videos are awesome. You're going to want to read her book, which I already did. This is very important for you to understand, everybody, because we'll talk about what can happen if you don't recognize these tendencies, behaviors, whatever. You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to The Tom Matt Show.
Thank you, Sandy, for bringing us back. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This week's guest, Danielle Radin, Navigating Narcissists. We'll get back to that in just a second here. This is such a great episode. I mean, I like to think that all of our radio episodes are good, everybody, but this is a huge topic that is not really dealt with. And I don't think in all of the, I don't even know, 60 or 70 episodes of mental health awareness and advocacy that I've done with Dr. Debbie and other people, we have never talked about this topic, never. And so what Danielle's saying is spot on because it's kind of a niche area that she sort of, we'll talk about that here in a second. But first, I got to talk about Brock. Brock, my man, got us to sell Big House Holt, thank God. Told me that I, needed to part with that thing. I didn't mind. Sandy did. But we got what we wanted out of it because we had Brock. and you guys need to get with him. The Keller Williams Realty team of Brock Fletcher, the selling team, is awesome. Mike Dedman's the man. Helped us buy Little House Lansing, where I'm recording this episode today, and sold the house next door to from my neighbor. Helped him out with that. Got him an extra $20,000. That's a true story, and I've said that enough times. I don't even need to go back into that one. But Brock Fletcher's the man you want to call. That's the guy I called. He is the guy you can trust. He is the bomb. 517-853-6408 is the office number, everybody. Here's the cell phone number. This is what you want. You text Brock. Tell him you heard it from Tommy, whatever. 517-303-3262. Let me say it again. 517-303-3262. Go online to kwsellingteam.com. Go to our website, TomMattShow.com, bottom of the website. Click on through. He's down there, the banner. Some of our friends are there, and you can click on that. That's one-stop shopping there. You can get the episodes. You can get Reality Real Estate, where he's done like 20 episodes. That's how long he's been with us, and they're all good. And it's like, there you go. Another resource for you if you're looking to buy, sell, upsize, downsize, whatever's going on. I mean, you got to. We just had to go through something for my dad's house. It took almost 2 years to get that thing settled. That's all I want to say about that. Brock Fletcher's the guy. 517-303-3262. Okay, back to today's episode. Can't wait. I wish we could do like 3 hours with Danielle today. She's busy though. We'll get her back. Danielle Radin's our guest today. Navigating Narcissists. We're doing the high level. You guys know how I always do the first time guests when they come on. It's always like a sort of a high level overpass. All right. We'll deep dive a lot of these topics down the road. This is such a big topic. I mean, I'm talking big. You may not have heard of it. I think the term is misused. Danielle, let me ask you that, Danielle, because you hear people misusing the word narcissist constantly. It's like when people were talking about gaslighting. Okay. And I've had shows on gaslighting and defining gaslighting. And then you take this word, they hear it and they go, oh, that's cool. That's catchy. And now it's the word of the year. I mean, is that kind of the thing? It's like people trying to throw it in the same bucket with a lot, or no?
Yeah. I mean, I think that it oftentimes can be mislabeled. It's just more in the public rhetoric than it ever has been before. And back before anyone knew about narcissism, like in the 90s, you might just call that person a jerk. Oh, they're a huge jerk. But now, you really want to pay attention to how the person is treating you and whether your life is better or worse now that they've been in it, more so than do they have all the criteria to have this label of narcissistic personality disorder. Because I will say too that a narcissist will call you a narcissist. They'll throw that in your face. So that's why I tell people, don't ever confront a narcissist. If you think you're dealing with a narcissist, don't say, hey, I think that you're this, because they will twist it and throw it in your face. And that's because this is an incurable personality disorder. Narcissists never take accountability for anything. And it's really easy for them to say, well, actually, you're gaslighting me. Well, actually, you're the narcissist, and just make it completely your problem.
There you go. And I mean, so we started in the last segment, we started the whole process of, because I asked you the question, why would somebody want to get with someone with all these characteristics? And they started to explain to people they can be very charming. They can be very outgoing. They have lots of good qualities, very attractive, put together. I mean, it's the mask is the mask. The mask has been there and getting polished for their whole life. So, right. And so the difference between you that I found though, Danielle, with your content in your book and some of the other content creators, no offense to any of the other content creators, but they all come on. Like there's one guy that I've seen and he's pretty good. He is a diagnosed narcissist. He has the disorder. So he comes from that perspective. Your perspective is so unique because you're not a narcissist. You come at it from the other side of things. And I found it fascinating that you interviewed all of these people to put this together. So let's step back now. Now you talked about the love bombing, the future fakes. Step back and say that to kind of set it up for people just joining us. And then we'll keep stepping forward into what's going to happen.
Yeah, so there's 4 phases of a narcissistic relationship that play out every single time. And that's love bombing, devaluation, the discard, and the hoover. So in phase 1, you're going to get love bombing, This is going to last anywhere from 1 to 3 months, maybe 6 months if you're in a long distance relationship, or they can stretch it out. But this is the fake part of the relationship. You don't know that yet. You think that you're getting the best partner you could have ever imagined. The narcissist is mirroring you. Oh, you like rock and roll music? So do I. Oh, you want 2 kids? So do I. Oh my gosh, we have so much in common. So they're mirroring you. They are appearing to be your perfect partner, and they are trying to get as close to you as possible. And so, they might.
Well, excuse me. Let me ask you that. Why? Why is that? Why do they want to get close to you?
Narcissists have a serious fear of abandonment, and they know that you're going to see the real them at some point. They just don't know when that is. So they're trying to trap you into some kind of long-term commitment so that you can't possibly abandon them like, quote, everyone else has before. So they want to trap you, and they are still idolizing you. And so they think, oh, all those other people, all those dozens and dozens of people I've dated before were wrong for me. This is it. This is my soulmate. I don't want to wait. I need to, start my life now. This person's going to swoop in and save me from myself, and we're going to ride off into the sunset, and they'll never have their own thoughts or opinions about anything.
Sure you are. Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. So you're in the 4 phases here. I told you guys, this is going to get deep. We're just starting to really peel this back here. So you're in the 4. I hope you guys are taking notes. So you're going to go buy Danielle's book. So you're in the 4 phases. You got the love bombing, could go from 1 to 6 months. Okay. What's phase 2?
Yeah. So during that time, the victim feels just overwhelmed with the relationship. Like, this is moving really fast, but I guess I'll just roll with it. Right. So the more that you roll with it, the closer that they get to you. Hey, let's get engaged. Let's have a baby. Let's elope. Let's move in together, move into my house, sell your house. The minute they can trap you in some way, even if it's just saying, I love you in the first month or whatever, once they feel like they've, quote, got you, that's when the devaluation phase is triggered. And this is an automatic triggering on the narcissist part, where they realize that you're not just some idolized god or goddess that was brought to this earth to serve the narcissist. You're a mere mortal like the rest of us. You have your own opinions. You want to do this when the narcissist wants to do that. They start to degrade you. All the stuff that was cool about you before is now annoying to them. They start to give you less attention. You're not getting that good morning text anymore. You're wondering what's happening. The relationship is just going on a slow downgrade, and it's getting worse and worse no matter what you do.
Let's stop there. Danielle, I'm going to reset this thing. I keep telling you guys, I'm going to repeat this about 16 times. Danielle Radin's with us today. She is a narcissist expert, navigating narcissism. She's been around for a while. She's very talented, Emmy Award-winning journalist, 9-time author. She is the founder of the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Center, which offers low-cost counseling, and all of this will be in the recap, everybody. So if you need the links, it'll all be there. Don't worry about that. She's coached thousands of people all over the world to live, and this is the key, healthier and happier lives. You're listening to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Danielle Radin's here, having a blast, talking about a really heavy topic, navigating narcissists. Danielle, how would you like people to connect with you? We were just talking during break, everybody, how overwhelmed she's becoming with all of these requests for help, because it's like I said at the end of the previous segment, it's all about health and happiness. And if you're dealing with if you have narcissistic tendencies or an NPD, you're not going to find health and happiness. I'm telling you right now, it ain't happening. So take our word for it. All right. If you're not feeling it, stress, sleep. My big thing is if you're not sleeping, you're probably going to die. Okay. I'm telling you right now. Sorry to tell you that. Danielle, how would you like people to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so if you need counseling or coaching out of a narcissistic relationship, you can email me. It's just my name, Danielle Radin at gmail.com. I answer all the emails myself. I also have my book that you can see back here, Navigating Narcissists, and that's available on Amazon as paperback, ebook, and audiobook. I have a podcast on Spotify called Them Narcissists, and I have a YouTube channel and TikTok.
And she's good, and it's great stuff. And a lot of her shorts are very, it's like, because now that I'm in your feed, it's like, how many different topics are there? I mean, it's like, I like having a lot of different topics for my show. You're in this really tight niche, and it's like, you got all of this content. It's like, and all of these different situations, like, oh my God. So let's get back to the 4 phases, because we need to get through some things here to help people. And we only got a limited amount of time. Let's finish the 4 phases and we can move on and help people understand what the hell they're dealing with here. What phase 3?
Yeah. So you are in a devaluing stage. Timeline wise, that's the longest part of the relationship. That can last months, years, or decades, where it's going downhill. This devaluation stage is a one-way ticket to a discard. So that's phase 3, the discard phase. So that's when the narcissist either breaks up with you out of nowhere, they ghost you, they cheat on you and get with somebody else, they kick you out of their house, whatever it is, or they force a reverse discard, which is when they are acting so atrociously that you have no other option but to break up with them, even though you don't really want to. And this is a very brutal phase. The victims of this oftentimes feel completely out of control of their own life. This is being forced onto them. And it's not anything like a regular breakup, because in a regular breakup, you have a conversation. Hey, we're at different places in life. I wish you all the best. Let's still be friends. In this one, you are being discarded like a piece of garbage, and it hurts.
That's what happens. It's like, it's interesting that you said the devaluation stage could last for a long time. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, everybody. Just keep it in mind, okay? So we're going through all of these things. Talk about some of the other, I want to go to the book, because it's like figuring out what we got going on. And in the book, you just laid it out. I do want to talk about, early in your book, you talk about the psychological toll. What are people, okay, if people don't understand, they say, well, he's always been this way. But now they start to get a little more educated, and you start to tell them, well, the psychological toll, talk about that so that people can understand, well, maybe that's chapter 2. Go right ahead, please, Danielle.
Yeah, being in this relationship can have devastating consequences on your mental health and your physical health, because the longer you stay in the relationship, the more likely you are to be abused. It's as simple as that. And that could look like psychological abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, financial, spiritual, sexual abuse. Any sort of abuse is not going to be good for your long-term mental health and your physical health. People oftentimes get so stressed out in these relationships where they're not able to communicate. They're not able to talk about how they feel. They're not able to trust the person. They're not getting any respect from this person. They will lose their hair. They will have heart problems. People can have strokes. They can have all kinds of stress-induced autoimmune diseases flare up during this time. The narcissist will sleep deprive you, because that's an easy way to control you. Mm-hmm. So people oftentimes experience confusion, brain fog, gaps in their memory. They're having trauma responses to staying in a relationship with somebody who just continues to be more and more toxic. And I will say that after the discard phase, phase 3, right when you think that you're out of it, there's phase 4, which is the Hoover phase. And that's when the narcissist tries to reach back out and get back together with you. Now, people if they respond to the narcissist, if they don't stay no contact and block them and just move on with their life, they will be sucked right back into the toxic cycle where they get love bombed, devalued, discarded, hoovered. And that can go on for years because the narcissist is seemingly sorry. They're apologizing, they're crying, you're feeling bad, they guilt trip you, they tell you that it's never going to happen again, and you choose to believe them. So you go back, and before you know it, you're wondering, how am I in this cycle again? So this is why it takes an average of 7 to 10 times to leave an abusive relationship.
Is that right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I mean, some of my clients have been through it 80 times.
Unbelievable.
80 times. So these are extremely difficult relationships to get out of. And for the people who have to just watch this happen, like family members and friends who are like, why don't you just stay out? Like, this person sucks. What are you doing? It's brutal for them to watch it themselves. It's like watching a train crash over and over that you can't stop.
Yep.
And so a lot of times people, as they're trying to get out and they're going back and they feel like they're helpless and the narcissist is saying all the right things that got them in there in the first place, the family and friends will just naturally distance themselves from you because it's too painful for them to see it continue. And so you're still dealing with the mental health and physical repercussions, even though you're seemingly out of the relationship, because you're going back and forth and you're being pulled into this toxic environment versus trying to stay out. So if you don't put up strong boundaries and say, no, I'm done with this now, the narcissist will engage with you for as long as you as the victim allow it to happen.
There you go. Okay, so there's the 4 phases, everybody. Resetting this thing. Danielle Radin's with us. Navigating Narcissists, talking about her book, talking about her clinic, talking about everything that she does to help people, because this is huge. This is really huge. So we're going to start to talk about, in the finish of this segment, Danielle, about the addiction and how to get over things and the methods that you can use to kind of diffuse these situations possibly, or at least start to have a strategy. And so one strategy that I have seen over and over and over, and we got a couple minutes to go before we go to break here, just to give you a heads up, is just to go no contact. But a lot of times you're going to have people with children, or you're going to have a mixed family or something where that's not possible. So when you go, is that the only way with the addiction is to go with the no contact? What kind of advice? Give me a minute of no contact tips.
No contact is the ideal best situation. So if you're not married to the person, you don't have children with them, consider yourself lucky that you're able to go no contact. If you're listening to this program right now and thinking, oh, I think I might be dating like a narcissistic personality, go no contact if you are able to, because this person is not your friend. This person is very transactional. They're never talking to you unless they're getting something out of you, and they're trying to manipulate you. So keep that in mind. The more that you shut it down and block any updates about them on social media or through friends or whatever, the sooner you can get to a healthy place and move forward with your life. If you can't go no contact because you have to co-parent or they're your coworker, then you have to do a gray rock method.
And we'll talk about that when we come back, because that's the communication strategies, and that's the first one that you can try to attempt. Good luck with that one. I mean, because they're so smart, because, these people are not dumb, and typically they know how to push your buttons. And if they've gotten like inside information on you and they've known you for a long time, they're going to use that against you and count on it. That is going to come back to gaslight you, to try to spin things the other direction. Spin masters galore. If you've ever heard the spin doctors, that group, that's what the narcissists are. They're classic spin doctors. You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
For more information on the Tom Matt RFZ mentality, please visit our brand new website at www.tommattshow.com. Subscribe to our podcast via your favorite podcast platform. Visit our brand new YouTube channel for consistently motivating messaging. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to Sandy for bringing us back over the broadcast side of things. Danielle Radin is our guest today. Danielle Radin is amazing. She is an Emmy Award-winning journalist, 9-time author, and certified domestic violence counselor. That's heavy. I mean, talk about PTSD. Counselors go through this stuff more than the people that are going through it because they hear, deal with it over and over and over and over and over. And so it's like Danielle was just telling us about somebody being just hoovered in with these narcissists 80 times. I can't even imagine it. And so she has her Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Center, which offers low-cost counseling. And again, like I said earlier, all of this will be in the recap. So once again, Danielle, would you please share your contact info, the LinkedIn, the YouTube, all of your wherever you're at, and speaking engagements, all that. Please go right ahead.
Yeah, so if you need counseling out of these things or post-narcissistic relationship, you can email me. It's just my name, Danielle Radin @gmail.com. And if you would like to read about this, you can get my book on Amazon, Navigating Narcissists. It's available hard copy, paperback, ebook, audiobook. I have a podcast on Spotify, Call Them Narcissists. And if you want some video education, I am on YouTube and TikTok.
There you go. Okay. So you're addicted to this person. You love this person. You just got them. I mean, they love you. You love them. You think they love you. Everything looks great. You've been going through this stuff. You got kids, you got whatever. Okay. Relationships are hard. Nowadays, we have a better understanding of mental health issues. Where in the past, like we talked about pre-show, Danielle and I did, you might, like Danielle said, you might be just considered a jerk. I mean, whatever. So these are things you need to be aware of. Now, there are strategies, and we will talk. And again, I'm going to have Danielle back for sure. We're going to do some very specific things. You can send me a note. You can send her a note. If you want us to talk about these things, we'll be happy to do that. Whatever you got. So you know how this works. Send me the note. I will make sure that we get it into the show notes and we'll get talking about it. However, at this point, we need to have some communication strategies. So let's spend the rest of the show talking about how people can help themselves just maybe, I'm going to say a big fat maybe here, Danielle, maybe escape. Is that a good way of saying it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the goal should be to limit your interactions with these people as much as you legally and physically are able to, given whatever long-term commitment you might be in with them. So if you can't completely go no contact, you have to gray rock the narcissist. So the gray rock method is becoming boring like a gray rock. If I had a gray rock in my hand, I would say, this thing is boring. It doesn't yell back. When I yell at it, it doesn't do anything. Because you have to understand that narcissists are addicted to drama and attention. They want good attention. They want bad attention. Anytime that they feel like they're getting an emotional rise out of you, they feel like they're winning, and they will do this almost any time that you interact with them. So if you do not give them that emotional reaction, then hopefully they drop off and move on to some other victim. And so that entails, if you're co-parenting, specifically only talking about the children. Hey, you need to pick up our son Wednesday at 6 p.m. Hey, our daughter is sick. I have to take her to the doctor. Whatever the one or two sentences are that you have to relay to the narcissist. Now, this does require taking your own ego and throwing it all the way under the floorboards in order to do this, because they're constantly going to try to be poking at you to see where the weak point is. They'll try to use guilt trips. They'll try to use future fakes. They'll try to say that one thing about your own childhood trauma that really impacts you. And you just have to dodge those baits like the Matrix. Just nope, 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 nope. And it requires a lot of practice, but it does get easier over time. At first, it's really difficult, but then the more that you do it and the more free time you have away from their toxicity, the better you feel as time goes on.
That's the thing that you have to understand, everybody. Danielle Radin's our guest today. We're talking about navigating narcissists, her book, and the topic of understanding narcissists. That's the whole thing. It's like they're very smart, and they pick up on things very quickly, and they can really read people. So you have to be on top of your game, everybody. That's why becoming educated about this and not just saying, oh, that's just the way. My mom had mental health issues that were undiagnosed for her whole life. And we've talked about this in my family, and it's like in the past, those things happen but now we have AI and we have great healthcare and we have all kinds of people like a Danielle Radin. Danielle, would you suggest that people not only help get with you for coaching on this specific topic, but as we said earlier in the show, a lot of therapists, I swear to God, 50 or 60 interviews with therapists, with licensed therapists, doctors, and not one has ever brought up this topic. Would you suggest that you kind of co-parent this thing? Because that's what I do with some of my people is like, I'm not a therapist, I'm a coach. I can help you get to and achieve these things, but you need to have, you need to get this other thing figured out too. Because I've had people say, well, now that I have you, Tom, I don't need a therapist. No. What would you say, Danielle?
Yeah, if you have a therapist, that's fantastic. I kind of describe it like this. When you're in a narcissistic relationship, that narcissist has put you at the bottom of a dark well, and you're trying to figure out how to get out of it. So if you have a typical marriage and family therapist, it's not going to help you for them to yell down the well, so tell me about your childhood. You also need a coach to be like, it's going to be okay. Put your foot here. Take this rope. You're going to get out of it. You'll be just fine. You need a little bit of extra help in order to get out of the position that this abuser has put you in. I also really want to emphasize, don't get couples counseling with your narcissist, because it's going to give them a lot of intel into how you're feeling. They're not going to come into it authentic. They're going to try to get the therapist to like them, and you're going to end up giving them a blueprint of how to manipulate you further.
Good tip. Very good tip. That could go right into the last chapter of the book. We'll finish off this segment with that. Strengthening emotional resilience. When I train people, resilience is just reps. It's just reps. Is it the same thing with strengthening emotional resilience in this situation, Danielle?
Yes, absolutely. You cannot heal from a hypothetical or a metaphorical stab wound by being in the same environment of the person who continually stabs you. When you get out of that and give yourself an arm's length from that, that's when you can start to rebuild your self-worth, because being in a narcissistic relationship inevitably crushes your self-esteem right into the ground. It makes you question your reality. That's the purpose of the gaslighting and the confusion, because the more confused you are, the less likely you are to leave them. And so it does require you to start to journal positive affirmations, practicing mindfulness or prayer or whatever it is, in order to regain the self-esteem that you have put into the narcissist's hands, reclaim it, and say, I'm worthy of love just the way that I am, and I've got to get myself out of this.
There you go. I mean, it's some, the other thing that I would add to what Danielle just said to help you kind of heal is watch the videos. Danielle's got a bunch. I don't even know how many. A lot. And the topics are all different. So it's a vast, and every situation, every relationship is different, everybody. These are just kind of a template for you to help you understand, oh, maybe this is what's going on. Oh, see, this is when the veil goes up and you can kind of go, oh, okay, because we've been clouded. They don't want you to know this stuff. They're master manipulators. These people are master manipulators. So you got to understand that, and you got to believe that you're going to be okay. All right, I need a takeaway from you there, girlfriend. You've done a great job. I can't wait to get you back. We didn't talk enough about the addicted. There's so many other pieces to this. We'll talk about what you feel is important for the listeners and the fans of your work. But what's the takeaway from today's first episode of our show?
The takeaway is if you've listened to this episode and you believe that you're in a narcissistic relationship and you are having some revelations about the toxic cycle that you have been in, get out of it. Get out of there. Go no contact. A narc-free life is a happy life. You know, it is good to empower yourself with this information through online videos or whatever you have access to, because knowing what they're doing takes half the power out of what they're doing. And then it's just a matter of logistically figuring out how to leave. So you don't ever deserve abuse. You don't ever deserve toxicity. You want to be with a partner who treats you with basic human dignity and respect at all times.
Well put. And that's a great takeaway. And let me wrap this bad boy. Danielle Radin's been our guest today. Love it. Been awesome navigating narcissism. We will absolutely have her back. It's a huge topic, and we need to help people. We need to help people get through all of the things in their life. If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be of service to you through our guests, just like Danielle Radin. She's awesome. Get her book, Navigating Narcissism. It's really good. Look at her videos on YouTube. All right? This is my takeaway. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. If you're in a narcissistic relationship, you can't love yourself first well enough. You need to take her advice, and you need to roll, baby, roll. Thanks again to Danielle Radin for being with me. Sandy, Craig, Brock. We'll talk to everybody next week. Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. Lastly, I want to say thank you to our production staff, Mitch Anderson and Vanessa. We are out.
The Tom Matt Show is produced by Mitch Anderson of Black Circle Studios. Original music from The Source of Light and Power by The Ark of All.